Do you guys want to know what the number one truth to selling more on Etsy is? This really is the silver bullet when it comes to success, selling more, growing your Etsy business. The majority of new sellers focus on everything but this. So, today's episode, I want to talk about what this truth is and give you some tips on how to master it. Let's go. Hey everyone, what is going on? Welcome back to the Handmade and Beyond podcast. I'm LL, your host, your guide. I am back. I'm ready to bring you another solid episode to help you guys out with your Etsy business. I was off last week. I took a much needed vacation. Actually went up to Georgia in the Georgia mountains. This little cool town, this little German town that's called it's not called, it's called and it is Helen. You guys can see I've been on break because I can't talk, so I'm fumbling over my words already, so this is gonna be a great episode. Anyways, it's a German town up there. There's a lot of German restaurants, German food, some of the best schnitzel, spetzel that I've had. If you guys are into German food, went up there for Oktoberfest. That is what drew me there, and it's really not too far from Florida. So yeah, really everything's really cool, decorated. It looks like you're in Germany. So if you guys haven't been, I would highly recommend going. It's very cool. And I've been wanting to do Oktoberfest or more traditional Oktoberfest since I was planning to go to actual Munich, Germany for Oktoberfest in 2020. And of course, we all know what happened there. COVID hit, flights were canceled. I had everything booked too. I was like, it was a very proactive vacation because Oktoberfest in Germany has always been a bucket list thing for me. So we booked our flight it was like probably 8 months out. Our flight, our hotel, had everything planned. And then it all got canceled. It was very, very sad. So this is my consolation prize. I know hopefully someday soon I will get back or get over to Germany, get over to the real Oktoberfest. This is definitely more of a subdued Oktoberfest, but it was still a lot of fun, a lot of good German food, a lot of good German beer, of course. So I'm back from that adventure and ready to bring you this episode. I was trying to plan some episodes out ahead of time, but you guys know how that goes. Time gets away from you. I was trying to get caught up on my Etsy business, trying to get everything in line, and then I just ran out of time. And that's just the way that it goes. And sometimes you got to be just embrace running out of time. And I was excited to get away and go on vacation, get to some cooler weather. It was in the 30s a couple of nights, so maybe not that cool. If you're in Florida and it hits 50s, it's freezing because your blood thins so much. So 30s was frigid Icelandic temperatures. So I'd be good with, maybe some 60s, definitely not 30s. But anyways, I'm here to talk about the number one truth to selling more on Etsy, which is if you list more, you'll sell more. That's it. That's a wrap. That's the end of the episode. That's all you guys need to know. See you next week. Just kidding. I got more to it than that. It's simple. It's not necessarily easy when it comes to this basic fact of listing more, selling more. But I want to dive into this topic a little bit more and let you guys know how you can do it more strategically, more focused, so it's not as hard for you guys. Before we get started, I have something free for you. As usual, I like to give you as many resources to help you grow your Etsy business as possible. This one pairs nicely because it is my Etsy listing checklist to help you guys list more successfully, have listings align that will have more success sooner than later. Make sure you're doing all the best practices correctly when it comes to optimizing your listings when you are starting to list more. You guys can get that at handmadeandbeyond.com/Etsy listing checklist. Get it, download it, read it, implement it, and sell more, hopefully. That is the plan as always. All right, so diving into our topic today. Now, this is a very basic comment. You're probably like, this is such common sense, LL. Why are you telling me this? Maybe you're like, I already do this. Or maybe you're like, that's not necessarily everything, is it? Well, a lot of sellers, and especially new sellers, they focus on every other thing besides listing their listings and how many listings they have and listing more. Back in my previous selling career, I still am, but I started off on eBay, and I still sell on eBay. I still like eBay. I still like the platform. It's just my Etsy business took off, so I stopped paying as much attention to eBay. Of course, you want to focus on what's making you money. But I used to, eBay used to be my bread and butter. I made thousands and thousands of dollars on eBay, and I started selling on eBay in 2000. Believe it or not, it's like 22 years ago. It's crazy, right? That's been around that long. But every time on eBay, when I wanted to make more money, I would put up more listings and I would sell more. So it's like, if I list more, I'm usually selling more. And if you're doing it the right way, even better. You're optimizing your listings, you're putting them up the way that they should be put up. You're going to sell even more. So when I started Etsy, I used this same concept. I put up a couple of listings, I had no sales. Put up a couple more, no sales. Put up a couple of more, wow, I started getting sales. Put up a couple more, started getting more sales. So this basic concept of listing more obviously helped me sell more. It helped me start selling more. So the one key with this that I want to tell you and I want to warn you of is there is a correlation between listing more and selling more, but it is not a direct correlation. And you're probably like, what do you mean by that? You're using these big words already. It's early in the morning. I haven't had my coffee yet. Well, what I mean by that is if you list 10 more listings in your Etsy store, it doesn't mean you're going to necessarily get 10 more sales. It may mean that you get 1 or 2 more sales. So there's a drop off. If you sit down and do 100 listings, it doesn't mean you're going to get 100 more sales, or you double your listings. It doesn't mean that you're going to double your revenue. So it's not a direct correlation, but there is some level of correlation there. So there will be a drop off, but you can improve your success rate with how well you're doing your listings, doing more research, things that I'm going to talk about later in this episode. And the reason there's not a complete direct correlation is because there's too many variables. There's the algorithm that you gotta deal with. There's user error, niche differences. Some niches just perform better than others. A lot of different factors that go into play, a lot of different variables that go into play with a listing. So that's why it's not, and it will never be, a direct correlation. But on a basic math level, the more listings you have, the more keywords you have. The more keywords you have, the more potential traffic you'll have. The more potential traffic you'll have, the more potential sales you'll have. So basic math, giving yourself the best chance of success, giving yourself more lines in the water will ultimately help you succeed, or give you a much better chance of succeeding. Another key with this is you can't list garbage listings or stuff that doesn't make sense for your niche. Many sellers don't want to believe in this strategy because at the end of the day, more listings is more work, especially if you're doing things the quote-unquote right way, meaning that the way that you have the best chance of success. And I'm going to give you a couple success tips later in this episode, but it is more work. Listings are work. The more listings you do, the better you'll get at it, the faster you'll get at it, the more you'll learn your niche, the more you'll learn what keywords give you the best chance of success, are the best. But it's work initially at first, because you got to take the pictures, you got to do the descriptions, you got to do the keywords, the titles, the tags. All the stuff that goes into your listings is work, and it's usually not the favorite thing that we like to do. As an eBay seller, finding the items to sell is fun. Listing the items for sale is not so fun. As a Etsy seller, making the stuff, designing the stuff, that's fun. Putting up the listings is not fun. If it is fun for you, good, that's awesome, good for you, but you're probably a little sick in the head. Now I'm gonna get some comments. Elle thinks I'm sick in the head because I like listings, but it's not. It's the work. It's putting in the work. Going to the gym is not really that much fun. Seeing yourself lose weight, seeing yourself get the six-pack back, seeing yourself being able to run 3 miles when you couldn't even run a mile before, that's the fun part. doing the work, that's what hurts. That's painful. It's not fun. It gets boring, it gets tedious. But the successful sellers out there, they put in the work. They do the tedious stuff day in and day out, and that's why they are successful. That is below the iceberg stuff. That's the junk. It's not junk, but it's the junk below the iceberg that you don't see. You just see, oh, they have 10,000 sales, 20,000 sales. You don't see them sitting, for hours on end, taking pictures and doing listings and doing the research necessary for their niche to be successful. So that's what I want to emphasize when it comes to this. It is easy. It's not always simple because you got to put in the work, but it is easy in the fact that if you put in the work and just put up more listings, you're going to see some type of momentum. And it may not be immediate. A lot of people, and that's another key thing I want to hit on, is it may not be immediate. If you sit down, put in the work, and then you do 50 listings, 40 listings, you can't expect to wake up tomorrow and have more sales. You can't expect to wake up in a week and have more sales. Maybe a month. It takes time. And this is what I had to learn early on in my journey. There was times where I did 50, 100 listings, and I saw absolutely no improvement for weeks, sometimes months. And then all of a sudden it starts to click. Those listings start to get traction, momentum. You start to get sales. So it takes time. The algorithm has to learn. There's the algorithm at play. There's human interaction at play, and all that stuff combined will ultimately come together and hopefully get you guys more traffic and more sales. But you got to do the work first. It's not instant gratification. It's delayed gratification, which I always say. And just then from there, it's just kind of a waiting game. All right, so here are a few tips to get more listings, because it may not be it may not be as easy for you or as simple for you to get more listings. You're like, well, I don't have any stuff to list. I don't have any more listings to put up. All right, so think about it like this. When you roll out listings or roll out new products, think about rolling out a product line instead of one-off products. Can you roll out a couple of like items that are similar but not the same, and roll that stuff out together? If you make dog socks, don't just do one pair of dog socks. Maybe you want to do a pair of Chihuahua socks, pit bull socks, and I'm going to say Pekingese socks because I am biased and have two Pekingese. So maybe you do that. Or maybe you roll out dog socks with one saying, dog socks with another saying, 3 or 4, 5 different sayings. That will then become a product line. You're then targeting the same audience, the same demographic of people, but one of those may succeed and the other ones may not. Now, there's usually, when it comes to selling online or really anywhere, there's 80-20 rule. 20% of your listings will bring in the majority of your revenue. 80% of your listings will not. So you have to have listings out there that don't do so hot to figure out which ones of the listings will be hot, which ones will sell. So doing a product line will help you determine this a little bit faster. And it still helps, all these together still help bring traffic. And maybe your Chihuahua socks are bringing in all the traffic, but people are buying your Pekingese socks. Even though they're not buying the Chihuahua socks, it's still bringing in the traffic. It's still helping you, helping people purchase, even though that listing itself is not doing so hot. It still is meaningful. You still may want to leave it up. All right, the next tip is consider doing seasonal stuff. Seasonal stuff is the best way to keep your business performing year-round rather than just like a certain time of the year. Usually, most niches have a certain time of the year that the stuff sells well. Most niches sell well, around Christmas because everyone's looking for gifts. But outside of Christmas, there's certain niches that may do better in the summer, may do better in the winter, may do better in the fall or spring. So think about your niche and how you can bring seasonal items to that, whether it's holiday items or just seasonal items in general, whether it's just like fall items or spring items, not just Easter or Christmas or New Year's. So there's holiday and seasonal stuff you can bring into play. So every niche has those. Think about how your niche can produce those items and sell that to give you a nice boost throughout the year. All right, The next one is consider doing similar products to what's selling. So this is kind of like a product line, but this is kind of after the fact. Maybe you sell like wood pipe shelves, or you sell furniture and you just released a wood pipe shelf and that does really well. Well, can you do other pipe shelves that have different types of wood, different types of pipe? So learn from what's selling and do more products similar to what is selling. The next one is consider A/B testing some items. How you A/B test. And I talk about this extensively inside the Handmade and Beyond community. I have some courses on it. But the basic concept is you're releasing products and you're A/B testing one aspect of the listing. Usually it's keywords. So you change the keywords. You have the same product, two listings. You change the keywords for one, and you change the keywords for the other and see which one performs better. Whichever one performs better, that's the one you keep. The other one you delete. You can do the same thing with pictures, but usually it is keywords where you're A/B testing which one is going to perform better. The next one is on a very basic level, just do new stuff. Just do new stuff, align with your niche that you want to do to test it out, see how it does. You should always be testing out new stuff that you want to bring to market. So this is just something that you should already be doing. Kind of along the same lines for that, along the same lines as that, as new stuff is consider doing new styles, new variations, new combinations of existing products. So just because, if you design, maybe you're an artist that sells t-shirts or something like that, maybe you want to bring that piece of art and put it on socks, put it on sweatshirts, put it on mugs. Within reason, I see a lot of PO, print on demand shops do this too. They do it where it's kind of like overboard because it starts to not make sense. So make sure it makes sense for your niche. If you don't sell mugs, if mugs aren't really part of your vision, your plan, don't just throw a mug in your shop to try and capitalize on it, to try and sell it if it doesn't make sense. You just don't want to muck up your shop with a bunch of different you don't want your shop to look like a yard sale unless that is the knit, unless that's the brand that you're going for. I've seen some like gift type shops that do really well. It has everything under the sun, but more times than not that will hurt your shop and not help it. So it just depends. But at the end of the day, it's your own business. Do what you want, but have kind of a strategy behind it. All right, so those are some different ways if you're like, I don't know how to get more listings in my shop. Those are some different ways to get more listings in your shop. So now you don't have that excuse. Here are some keys to success when it comes to this. The first one is do research before you do your listings to make sure you have the best chance of success. And how I'd recommend doing this is using a keyword tool, a third-party tool such as Allura, which is my personal favorite. I know I'm sure you're probably tired of hearing it, but I love it. It shows you the best keywords to use based on what you type into the search bar. It shows you stats on the keywords, shows you demand, shows you the number of sales, the number of monthly sales, total sales, all that stuff. So you can be like, wow, that's a good keyword. I'm gonna put that in my listing. That makes sense for my product in my niche. So do the research beforehand. Don't just do stuff willy-nilly. That's how you don't make sales. You just put up keywords that you think without even having any stats or having any information on if that'll be successful or not. We're not trying to do a guessing game. We're trying to use stats and information out there that's readily available, very minimal investment, that will go a long way. That'll really help you make improvements in your business and give you the best chance of success. All right, the next one is take extra time putting up quality listings. So make sure you're taking the time. That's part of that is keyword research. Part of that is taking good photos. Part of that is not half-assing your description, not having a 3-word description. Take the extra time to put up a quality listing. At the end of the day, if you're focused on quantity, which is kind of what I'm emphasizing here, but you're completely missing quality, this isn't going to do you any good. You got to still have quality, especially when it comes to Etsy. That's the expectation. There's many people doing absolutely beautiful listings out there. So you got to focus on quality. You'll get faster at this the more that you do it. You'll learn, you'll improve, you'll get more efficient. But at first, it's going to be a little bit of a pain in the butt to get more listings because it's going to take you a lot longer. But do not hinder your quality. Focus on quality. and quantity. Both are important. And how to make this easier, the next key to success is set a weekly goal for yourself. Stick to it, track it. That is the key. You got to track it. So if your weekly goal is 3 listings, 5 listings, put down your weekly goal on a piece of paper. And once you do a listing, check it off. Once you do another listing, check it off. Once you complete your goal for the week, check it off. I assure you, your brain will absolutely love it. Your brain loves checklists. It loves completing things. It's like if you have a goal and you don't write it down anywhere and you're not tracking it anywhere, chances are 99% of the time you're not going to meet that goal because it's not being tracked. Your brain isn't being rewarded for you making improvements. So write it down, track it. I assure you, you will start meeting your goal a lot and you'll make huge strides with improving in your business. All right, the last key to success I'm going to leave you guys with is pay attention to your results. What's getting traffic? What's getting sales? Listen to your stats. These are the breadcrumbs that you pay attention to that will give you the information you need to make future decisions with your business. All right. So a lot of people just don't pay attention to any of this stuff and they're flying blind. And that's why you're not seeing improvements. That's why you're not seeing the success that you guys want to see. The information's out there. You just have to align it with a strategy, align it with the information, and use it to your advantage. The most successful shops and sellers are doing that, and I want you guys to do that as well. That's why I'm, of course, doing this podcast for you. Hopefully you found it valuable and got some takeaways from it, because I think this is very, very important. The sooner you implement this strategy, the sooner you're going to start making more sales, sooner you're going to start getting more traffic, okay? All right, guys, that is it for today. Make sure you guys get that Etsy listing success checklist at handmadeandbeyond.com/Etsy listing checklist. It's free. Download it. It'll help you optimize your listings. Pairs nicely with this episode as well. But that is all I got for this episode. I'll be back really soon with another one for you guys. Have an amazing rest of your day.